A report has come out that reveals Pascal Siakam might be receiving a max contract extension from the Toronto Raptors in the coming weeks. So we're going to break down why this report is coming out right now, why it makes sense for the Toronto Raptors to offer this deal to Pascal Siakam, and even if you're on team, shake up this roster, change things up, which I think myself and a lot of Toronto Raptors fans have sort of been pushed to more and more day after day. This contract extension offer still makes sense for the front office to provide to their top guy or top star in Pascal Siakam. At least their 1B, depending on how you define Scotty Barnes. So lots of stuff to break down in this video. Before we jump into that, folks, over half of our viewers are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything regarding this Toronto Raptors team, there's going to be a lot of stuff coming into play over the next coming weeks and coming months and stuff along those lines that will really affect this Toronto Raptors future. So we're going to be covering it all here on the Raptors Digest. So it mean the world to me if you hit that sub button. But let's dive into this report, because this is going to catch a lot of people off guard, given the fact, again, the Raptors are currently on a losing streak as of time of recording, and Pascal Siakam, his numbers are a bit down from his career averages. I mean, so, or at least this averages last season, not career averages. This season, 20 points per game, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and the 3-point shooting percentage is the number that everyone is sort of turning their heads at and saying, what the heck is going on with Pascal Siakam? So I'm going to dive into the reasons why, which are broken down in this article from Grange from Sportsnet. And Grange reporting this is also going to get more and more people fired up. Basically, according to league sources that he's spoken with, there's expected to be a fairly robust market for Raptors veteran Pascal Siakam, though maybe not the slam dunk return that makes a deal a no-brainer. The Raptors, under president and general manager Masai Ujiri, are not known for selling low. This is why That's why in some corners there is an emerging view that another possible path may present itself, one where Pascal Siakam doesn't get moved and may end up inking an extension in the coming weeks. And it wouldn't surprise Grange if there have been exploratory conversations on this subject. So, given everything we've heard, given everything that's come out, given the fact Pascal was almost traded to the Atlanta Hawks this summer, this is something that's going to be shocking, especially the trajectory, the course that this season has gone along. And more context was added by Grange right here. Basically, the logic plays out: if the Raptors signed Siakam to an extension between now and the end of December, they would be giving up the right to trade him for the next 6 months. So he would be off the table for this year's trade deadline. So again, why the heck would we ink this extension if we want to shake things up, if we want to make changes? The Raptors are struggling. Why would we make him ineligible to be dealt at this year's trade deadline? Well, the article goes on to continue to say that it could work out in the longer run, however, as if both sides reach an agreement by, say, December 28th, Siakam would be eligible to be traded 6 months later on June 28th, 2024. So the Raptors could essentially make themselves players in the trade market next summer, as they were this past summer. But the difference is Siakam would be under contract and presumably a less risky acquisition than he would have been as a pending free agent. And frankly, this is the position that I've been howling out into the YouTube stratosphere over the past couple months. Heck, longer than couple months, this entire summer, because Pascal Siakam's trade value, even though there's still suitors, even though there's still teams making calls, taking answers, taking questions, and all that type of stuff, even though those teams do exist, his trade value is nerfed because he's on the last year of his contract and he's unwilling to sign an extension with another team. So basically, the Toronto Raptors are going to be getting maybe not pennies on the dollar, but definitely a couple quarters on the dollar for Pascal Siakam if they do end up dealing him right now. But again, I'm just as sick of watching the Toronto Raptors lose to mid-teams game after game as every Raptors fan is. So there's that sort of split, the decision. Do we shake things up now and just move on into the Scotty Barnes era as quickly as possible? Or do we keep Siakam, get more trade value from the future, or see if we can sort of mold a team around Siakam and Scotty? Well, the last sort of screenshot I have from this article is saying it's something to watch over the next couple weeks, as it creates an environment where the Raptors and Siakam could have mutually aligned interests. After nearly a year of surveying the market, the Raptors haven't gotten an offer they find satisfactory, and if they offer an extension to Siakam and keep their window open until they do, and Siakam gets his contract, it might require some flexibility in terms of dollars, but it might be an interesting path for each side to explore in the coming weeks. So basically, It could be interests mutually aligned. Apparently, from everything we heard at the start of the season, Siakam was interested in having that sort of contract extension. Who wouldn't? Right, a max contract offer from their top guy. It's getting a bit more clear given the Raptors' team performance, especially that he's probably not going to make All NBA, so max contract's going to be the most amount of money he's going to be able to receive. So Pascal getting this extension. What do we think about it, especially as someone that's been more and more converted in terms of maybe not necessarily blow it up, but definitely shake things up on this Raptors roster team? And we heard reports yesterday, 2 days ago, that Siakam is the most likely guy to get dealt. And this report is coming out for two reasons. One, it's legit, and we'll dive into why I think it's a smart move after. But the other valid reason, people have probably already typed up their comments in the comment section about saying, hey, Ben, Michael Grange gets everything wrong. Why do you continuously talk about Michael Grange on these videos? And if you see a Michael Grange comment in that comment section, point him to this timestamp because I'm answering it here on this video. Michael Grange has the air of the front office. He is the mouthpiece for Masai Ujiri, for Bobby Webster, for people inside the Toronto Raptors front office to get information out to the public. Masai doesn't leak to Woj. He doesn't leak to guys like Shams and stuff. When we hear those reports, that's outside looking in, trying to sway the narrative and stuff. Michael Grange is Masai Ujiri's mouthpiece. So right now, this could easily be Masai Ujiri saying, hey, we are not going into this trade deadline. We are not going into trade talks as they percolated. They've escalated over the past couple weeks. We are not having these discussions where the Raptors are at a point of lack of leverage, at a lack of sort of bargaining power. If we're talking to the Kings, the Pacers and stuff, we see Kings, Pacers fans, whatever type of fans infiltrating our comment section saying, there's no world where you're getting Benedict Mathurin. There's no world where you're getting Keegan Murray. And sure, that might be the case, but Masai Ujiri is going to do all he can if a deal is going to go down, regardless of what, if you like his trade negotiation strategies or anything along those lines, he's going to try to fleece the other teams. And the way to do that is to have the narratives flowing in your favor. So if Masai's going into these trade negotiations not from a point of, hey, we have to deal Siakam for this trade deadline, or we have to deal him before the offseason stuff, and saying, hey, we could legitimately give him an extension, keep him on this roster, and figure it out for the future, the Raptors have more bargaining power. Might not be their intentions, it might not be their actual approach, but that's something that's valuable for Masai Ujiri, Bobby Webster, to get out there in the media. So I definitely don't blame people for not taking Grange's words at face value. He's been very wrong a lot of times in the past, but there's a reason for the things that he's saying to get thrown out there to the media. But personally, I think it's still smart if the Raptors can't get an adequate offer for Pascal Siakam to give him this extension. And this might, again, frustrate some Raptors fans who are eager to see that Scottie Barnes unleashed era. And sure, it's going to be fun to see Scottie Barnes get more and more of an opportunity as a top guy, but frankly, I think the disrespect toward Pascal Siakam has been a lot. It's been a lot, and the three-point shooting, again, I discussed at the beginning of the video, people are talking about how his three-point shooting has fallen off, he's a guy we have to deal away, the spacing, this, that, and whatever, and fair enough, the spacing is kind of tough, but if we dive deeper into sort of his shooting stats, right, Siakam's shooting sort of strategy that Darko's implementing this year has changed a lot from what he was dealing with over the past couple seasons, especially since Kawhi Leonard left. Basically, his three-point attempts also not helping his sort of argument in his favor, right, have been going up, right, and his three-point percentage has been going down, at least his three-point sort of usage rate, frequency, all that type of stuff. So, again, more stuff to go against Pascal Siakam's shooting areas, but dive a little bit deeper, because again, the advanced stats always sort of lie. They always sort of, stats in general, just always don't give the full picture, so you can pull out whatever side of things for whatever narrative you're trying to spin, whatever you're trying to look for. But basically, if we look at the shot percentages, from different ranges on the court, Pascal Siakam's sort of splits in terms of where he's been shooting his shots has been a lot less of those long 16 to 3-point, those long twos have been cut down drastically. From 16 to the 3-point range, that has gone down from 12% of his shots to just 5% of his shots. And then, from the 10 to 16 range, that's gone from 16% to just around 11% of his shots. And basically that split, some of it has gone to his three-point sort of shooting. Again, he is taking a little bit more threes, as we see in this graph right here. His three-point shot in terms of frequency is going up a little bit, but specifically, it's gone up by distance, right, from 22% to 23%, so not a drastic raise by any means. So, that does still have some Raptors fans a bit concerned. But right now, Pascal Siakam is taking most of his shots between, that sort of that 0 to 3 foot range, and it went from 19% essentially last year to 31%, and then the rest of it kind of stayed even, and then mitigated from 3-point shots to sort of 0 to 3 foot range. And again, the percentages have sort of stayed level in terms of those specific ranges inside the 3-point line. There has been a significant dip in terms of his shots by distance, but it's also interesting the 3-point shots he's been taking. None of them have really been off the dribble. None of them have really been him being a shot creator, because there were moments where we were seeing Pascal Siakam take dribble threes, going fast and this type of stuff, which is cool to see because it shows he has more confidence in his three and stuff like that, less mental and all that. But 1,000%, 100% of his 3-point shots this season have been assisted. And interestingly enough, there's been a 20% increase in the amount of 2-point shots that have been assisted for this season in terms of the buckets he's been getting. So rather than Siakam being the main creator, the main facilitator in the offense this year, he's been a guy that's sort of catching and shooting, right? Catching it in different spaces and getting assisted on a lot of his shots a lot more than he was in isolation scoring. So, that's a significant role change from what he's been doing for the past 3 years. So to mentally adjust to that, to have your confidence get built back up for the spot up threes that he was especially taking during that 2019 season is a big change. So I get why Siakam's shooting is way down below where it's been in recent years, but I think in the long term, it just makes sense that that's going to go back up to a certain level where it's respectable from the 3-point line. I'm not too worried about Pascal right now getting that contract extension, thinking he's just going to be a Ben Simmons shooter in the future. His role's been changing, the shots he's been taking, and frankly, I kind of like this shot distribution a little bit more. And he's still putting up like really high quality stats: 21 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. The eye test shows there are games where he still looks like a top dog on this Toronto Raptors squad. He's not a guy that I want to sell for pennies on the dollar. Give him his extension or get us some serious trade value back from him. Don't just sell him for nothing for the sake of, speed running a Scotty Barnes led sort of roster. I don't think that's a smart move, even though we are all eager to see some changes happen for this Toronto Raptors team. But let me know what you guys think about this Toronto Raptors squad. You guys are the best to make this start. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. I'm signing out. Cheers.